All right, we are here at the Lindex showroom in Stockholm, and I'm here with Annette Tenstam, Strategy Lead, Circularity and Environmental Sustainability, Lindex, and Tina Lemke, Marketing Manager, OnceMore. How are you guys?
Very nice. Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yeah, me too.
Very nice to be here in this beautiful space, and we're here to talk about the collaboration between Lindex and OnceMore and some lessons learned, and I there's so much here to for the rest of the industry, let's say, to learn from. So let's just dive into it. And before we do, a bit of an introduction is in place. Annette, I'm going to start with you. You've been with Lindex for quite some time. Yes. Long experience with the company, also with the sustainability issues for the past few years. Just tell us about yourself in the company and what you do.
Yeah, thank you. And so nice to have this conversation. And yes, I work as strategic lead, circularity and environmental sustainability, like the longest title ever. But basically it means creating the strategies, but I also work a lot on leading and implementing the strategies into the business, so business integration. And my background, I come from initially from the business side more, from design, purchase and production. Then 8 years ago, I moved into sustainability and business development. And for the past 6 years, I've been in corporate sustainability, responsible for circularity and environmental sustainability.
So the past 6 years, I mean, I feel like this has been transformative years for this issue particularly. So I'd love to have you, just give a little bit of a headlines of what's been happening the past few years, maybe wider in the industry, but also specifically for Lindex. What areas have you been focusing on? What's been important?
Sustainability has always been important, but I think what has happened is that both the scale and the scope has really increased, and also the requirements for us as a company to step up has really increased a lot. And so, I mean, the topics that we are working on now, like we're going to have to limit climate change. We're going to have to work to reduce dependence on natural resources. These are big questions, and we're going to this is going to require like a system change. We are moving into a whole new economy, like a circular economy. So this means transformative change. And it is a change that cannot only happen within Lindex, it's for the whole industry. So to reach our goals, we also have to work outside of Lindex and together with the whole industry and with new partnerships, such as with Södra, for instance.
Well, that's a great segue. I have so many follow-up questions to what you just said, but I'm going to bring in Tina into this discussion. Tina, talk about your role at OnceMore and what you do there.
Yes, so my role is marketing manager, but I'm also brand experience manager. So that means that I'm focusing on the brands that we collaborate with, Lindex being one of them, helping them with all the communication that is needed, but also communicating with them on a regular basis to have all the data and so on. Right now we're also focusing on having collaboration throughout the value chain, so that's also part of my role, but also, of course, building our own brand. Once more, it's important, getting the knowledge out that our solution is out there. So that's my role.
Many moving parts there.
Yeah.
So let's try to describe the story, the kind of love affair between you guys, because you're so passionate. I've heard you guys talk about it before, and now we're going to share this with the listeners. Annette, maybe you can set this up. Why was it important for you guys to do this collaboration with OnceMore, and how did it start?
Yeah, I mean, we have a goal to increase recycled content in our products, and we were basically searching for solutions to scale, because we realized that the solutions that exist, they came with some limitations, and so we just looked for new solutions. And at the time, we were connected with Södra and OnceMore, and we realized that they have a solution that is really scalable, and also where we remain the quality, which is very important. And so I think we just decided let's explore how we can collaborate. I think that's how it started.
Yeah, and from my understanding, pretty quickly escalated. Speaking of scale, into something quite big. It was not like this side project, or maybe you can continue.
Yeah,
Tina.
I think that is very cool, and something that we are proud of as well with this collaboration is that Lindex went from a pilot to 1 million garments in their store really, really fast, and that scale up is so important, of course, for everyone, but for us that is showing that we can be there for the scale up solution as well. We are not a startup. We are producing our material already in a big scale, and I think that is really cool, and also a big step for Lindex to take, and it's so impressive that you took that step, I think. And 1 million we said, but it actually was even more, so I think that is really awesome.
And I mean we started with a pilot. I mean to see that it's working, and I think that's still the first step is still just to get that pilot started, to develop the qualities. But once you see that the qualities are working, that's when you know it's safe to scale up.
Yeah. And Annette, maybe you can talk about how do you go about implementing a new technology like this? Because I'm sure you have to change some of your internal practices, and also it's not just about one area of the company. I feel like many different areas of the company needs to be involved in this. Can you give us a kind of a introduction to how this all worked for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, yes, this is definitely a new way of working. I mean, traditionally, our main business partner is with a garment producer, and we have to some extent also a relationship with fabric producers. But now we are talking far down the value chain. I mean, it's in the raw materials. So, of course, these kind of partnerships, it came with a lot of new questions to us. Like, how do we even make these agreements? What should it look like? There are a lot of middlemen between Södra and us. And also, how do we even calculate purchasing in tons of materials instead of pieces of garments?
Right.
A couple of new things to think about. There were also a lot of benefits in working this way. I mean, we had to start from the raw material with Södra, then we could connect it also to the fiber producers and the spinners and the partners that we wanted to collaborate with, and move the materials up. So working upstreams instead of downstreams.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned this to me before. You had to kind of change the strategy from kind of top down to bottoms up. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, this whole way of working with like starting from the raw materials and just pushing the materials up the supply chain, it comes also with a lot of benefits. I mean, we can get a much bigger control of the whole value chain, the whole supply chain, and also we can create that traceability and transparency that we need.
Well, let's get back to traceability. It's a big topic in and of itself, but this kind of change of operations, and I'm sure there's a lot of coordination that needs to happen. I'm curious, Tina, from your perspective. I know this is something you focus a lot on when you find fashion brands that are unused to thinking about raw materials in this way. There is kind of a lot of knowledge sharing that needs to take place. Talk about what it is like from your end. What do you do to help the brands along?
Well, we see that the brands have not that much knowledge about the raw material to start with, and also even knowing what viscose comes from, that it comes from trees and so on. So yes, the education there is needed, and the information there is needed, not only external but also internal, of course. But yes, so just starting to talk about, we are the raw material, we are the first part in the value chain. After us is the fiber producers, and then the spinners and the textiles. So explaining the entire value chain is so important, and also showing where we are in the value chain is like the first thing we need to talk about. And also when the brands see where we are and how we can connect it, of course, the connection part is really important and quite hard as well. But when we get that connection, you get the traceability. And that is the goal, of course, and have that both traceability but also transparency through the value chain. It's what we are aiming for and what we can help brands with. So giving the brands all the smart and good things that we can help them with, but also giving them the knowledge. That's that's what we are working for. So yeah.
I mean, and Annette, I feel like you guys seem very well prepared. I'm, given your experience and the kind of efforts you put into this. What would you say to, if you would, give some recommendations to your fellow colleagues in the industry that are maybe not as well versed in these topics? Where do you think they should start when thinking about this?
I think the start is to work on your fabrics, like consolidate your fabrics. In Lindex we have a fabric manager that is working very strategically with our fabrics, like mapping them and consolidating them so that we can make these big transformations. Then also, of course, understand your value chain and supply chain and create that traceability and just start, because it may sound difficult, but sometimes you realize it's not as difficult as you once thought. And our fabric manager, she's also working very close with our production offices, and of course that is a big strength that we have, our amazing colleagues in our production. And they are in daily contact with suppliers and of course have a very good understanding of global supply chains. So, but still understand your supply chain, that's very important. And then just start somewhere, start to try and test and pilot something. So that's what we said in the beginning. Once you have developed the fabric and you see that it's working and you know the actors, then the next step is scale up. Right.
Just start. I love that.
Yeah.
But Tina, the kind of this knowledge sharing goes both ways,
yes.
Right? So I feel like we work a lot with this in Scandinavian MIND, trying to kind of connect innovation companies, maybe tech-driven companies, material-driven companies with fashion brands. And one of my missions is really to raise that awareness between these players. I'm curious, what has OnceMore learned from the Lindex collaboration?
Well, we learned a lot as well, very much. I think the biggest part is that we are in the beginning of the value chain and they are in the last part. We had no clue about the rest of the value chain when it comes to after the fiber producers that we had been in contact for many, many years in Södra and had a very tight contact with. We've never been in contact with the brands before. With OnceMore, this is the first time we do this. So the in-between parts is we learned so much from Lindex, how they work with the value chain and with their suppliers. So we see that we need to have contact with them as well to help other brands, make it easy for them to start testing our pulp or our material, because otherwise it is quite hard if you don't know your value chain that far back as we are. So yes, we learned a lot, and it's been a learning on both ways. I think that is important to bring up. But I would say that knowing the value chain together is the most important and what we learn the most.
Right, and Annette, you mentioned also just the measurements and how you talk about the materials. That seems like one thing to when you guys talk tons and you talk meters.
We talk tons all the time. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a big difference.
And still do. We changed Lindex way of talking, so you're talking tons now as well.
Yeah, and I think for any company, whether it's Södra or Lindex, sustainability is a constant development. And I think that is something that we both share, that it's a constant improvement on everything. And I think we are exchanging as much as we can to do these improvements along the value chain and in all other aspects.
Yeah.
Annette, what can you say about the actual product? You mentioned that just quality assurance was an important part of it. Can you talk anything about the experience you had developing this and seeing the final product?
Yeah, I think one of the key enablers for this to scale was really that the quality was really good, as I said, and also it can be recycled again. But then also that the fabric, when it comes out, it's very similar to what customers are used to.
Right.
So it's super easy for any customer to adopt they don't even notice the difference. It's like a regular fabric that we're already having, so that makes it very easy for customers to adopt it.
Yeah, and for us it is. We call it a drop-in solution, and that's of course a big goal for us, that it you can see the difference. Of course, there is a difference because we have the recycled part of our pulp, but it's just replacing a regular viscose. It's going to be the same. It's going to have to have the same touch and feel, and the same durability and so on. So that's our goal, to keep a really, really high quality, so that the end consumer and the brands can't see the difference. It's not. They don't lower their expectation on the quality because they use us. They hire it, make it even better. So that's important from our part as well. That it is a drop-in solution.
I mean, and it feels like it's important for the whole transformation as well, because if we're just introducing new things, it's harder for the industry and the consumer to adapt to them.
Yeah, I mean, and this is also where we have to work together. I mean, with the new innovation that is coming, and where the solutions that are coming up, and making them work. I mean, we have to of course develop the existing solutions, but also adjusting to what is possible.
Yeah. Our job is to make that easier, even though it's hard for us as well, because we are also traveling on a new path, trying to add more and more textile recycling into our pulp and making it still have a really high quality. So it's a new path for us as well.
We mentioned traceability before, and Annette, you said like actually doing this project helped you guys in those efforts. Please elaborate a little bit more how. Like what are some of the learnings from this process, and how are you sort of strengthening your traceability efforts?
Yeah, I mean, we believe that this whole way of working, it's the way forward. You start not only for viscose, for other materials as well, to start with the raw material source and then connect it to the actors along the value chain that we prefer to work with. And in that way, I mean, we will know the whole value chain. So this whole way of working will be the future for us, not only for viscose, but also for other materials. And we are already working in the same way for cotton, for instance, and connecting with cotton fields and things like that.
Tina, any input on the traceability side of things?
No, just that we are a solution for traceability, and I think that is important to see as well. Not only do we have a quality product, we are one of the solutions. We are not the only solution, and we are quite vulnerable, or we are quite outspoken when it comes to our way of working and what we want to create. But traceability is what we do, and that's why it is so important that the raw material also have a communication with the brands, so you get that whole value chain together and can talk about it and show it to the customer if they want to see it. So I think,
Well, speaking of communication, I mean, this is obviously right up your alley, Tina. So when you advise brands, maybe not Lindex specifically, but please elaborate however you want. But how does this influence how they can talk about their products? What kind of arguments can you give them?
Well, we have the wonderful history and how Södra is owned by our over 50,000 members. And I think that is a big part, because our pulp still contains 80% wood. So, of course, we tell them the story about Södra, but also the story about the textile recycling and how we develop our product and what our goal is to create. We are in the beginning. As I said, we are in the beginning of a journey. We have a big goal, and we are doing everything we can to get there, to be able to take more types of textile in return, but also still have a really high quality. So we talk about what we do and what we can create together is what we do, and a lot of the things that we want to do, of course, have our brand into, for instance, Lindex garments to so the customer see that yes, this is a recycled textile, but also it comes from wood from sustainable managed forest. So that of course important, but also have the internal communication with all the Lindex staff, so they know exactly what. Okay, so this is viscose, and it's OnceMore viscose. Okay, then we know it comes from this and this, and from the trees in Sweden, and you know they get all this, the whole story and the real feeling behind it. I think it's important. Yeah.
Annette, we talked about traceability before. Obviously, that's a huge part of the upcoming EU regulations. It's been covered heavily in the podcast feed we're listening to now. But I'm just curious about kind of what aspects of the upcoming regulations that are specifically important to you guys, and how do you see them? Are you positive, or are you? So it's a daunting task, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean. We are positive definitely to the EU textile strategy, and I mean this is exactly what we've been waiting for. The textile strategy as a whole, it aims to transform the industry, and that is what I believe can also level the playing field for when working with sustainability. So I think the strength is really of the whole textile strategy. As a whole, the combination, because it's addressing everything a company does. It's addressing our business strategy, it's addressing the products we make, it's addressing the communication, more or less everything, the whole operations for any company. But related to this project, I mean, what's important is maybe the product requirements. I mean, there will be requirements related to recycled content in every product. Otherwise, we can't sell it on EU markets. Also on recyclable content, traceability, transparency. So, I mean, these kind of solutions, they are important for us to live up to the legislation.
All right, just to round this up, Tina, what has been some of the biggest takeaways for you in this collaboration? What, memorable things or most important things you bring with you?
I would say two things. Of course, learning about the value chain and how it works is important, and it's important for us going forward. But the really cool thing is that you actually can go out in Lindex stores or online, sounds like a commercial, and see garments with the OnceMore logo. You can find them, you can buy them, you can feel them. And for us, it's such an opener for showing other brands that you can do this now. You can use our pulp and create this. It's easy. We're out there. So yeah, I would say wow to Lindex, and this is super cool. Yes. Well,
you're proud of your product.
Yes.
That's fine. You can be that.
Yeah, good.
Annette, I'm going to let you have the last word here.
Yeah, I mean, to us as well. I mean, the way of working and just realizing that how much business value that it brings working in this way, and maybe just repeat again to get started. You just need to consolidate your fabrics, understand your supply chain, start piloting, and then don't stop there.
Exactly.
Also scale up. Mm-hmm.
Don't stop there. Great last words. Annette, Tenstam, Lemke, thank you so much for sharing your insights today.
Thank you.
Thank you.